there is something in it that we would like for you guys to be aware of, and we are going to talk with you guys about that. Then we're going to talk about technical assistance training, then program, and then Pangram office hours. All right, next slide, please. And next slide, please. And these slides will be made available, as always, on our website. And Janae, do we also send these out to the people who are on this meeting?
That's correct.
Okay, all right. So if you have any questions, if you don't catch anything, these slides will be sent to you. And of course, you can see them on our website. This gives you a pretty good visualization of the SFRF program timeline from the date of inception, March of 2021, up until the date that I want to focus on today is the SFRF expenditure deadline, 12/31/2026. Now, this is what I want to say about the 12/31/2026 deadline. You guys did such a great job of making sure every dollar of this SFRF award in North Carolina was obligated. Every single bit, with I think the exception of 20 cents, was obligated. And so we're going to have to send 20 cents back to the United States Treasury sometime soon, but they haven't told us how to do that yet. But between 1/1/25 and 12/31/26 is another very important time frame. That is when we have to have every single dollar of this SFRF funds, I'm going to say, liquidated. We had a discussion about this earlier today, and I should not say expended, because in accounting terms, you can set up an accounts payable, you can book an expenditure and it gets paid later. Not going to work. These funds have to be liquidated. Cash has to be out the door 12/31/2026. Any questions on that right now? Treasury gave us almost 3 years to fully obligate these funds, set them out for planned projects. They're giving us 2 years to liquidate these funds. Okay. All right. Hearing no questions, I think everybody's got that. We will work with you guys a lot on making sure that you're able to expend these funds. All right, next slide, please. And when you get the slides, this is nomenclature from the 2022 final rule, as well as FAQs that we pulled this data from. And I did want to say one more thing. Not only if you are a partnering agency or one of NC-PRO's recipients, you have to have all of these funds liquidated by 12/31/2026. If you have subrecipients, same applies to them. Your subrecipients have to be liquidated by 12/31/2026. If your subrecipients have subrecipients, they also have to be liquidated by 12/31/2026. The obligation period, if you remember, we only needed to obligate at one level. The liquidation period, we are interpreting the final rule in the FAQs as everything has to be liquidated down all levels by December 31st, 2026. And I keep repeating that date because it's going to be an important date. That is the next big thing for us with the SFRF funds. Any questions? Any questions? Okay. Next slide then, please. That's all I have to say on period of performance for right now. You'll be hearing more about this over the next 2 years for sure, but that's all I'm going to say about that today. So the next topic is the State Budget Act. The state budget of course, is not done yet. It looks like it's not going to get done by June 30. Who knows when it's going to get done? However, in this budget, there was similar wording on something I'm going to talk to you guys about in the governor's budget, the Senate budget, and the House budget. So based on the latest version, we're going to talk about that. And we don't think that this is going to change in wording at all. So we are starting to prepare for this. If you guys studied the FAQs before the obligation deadline, you kind of saw a bit of discussion about the ability at the federal, given to everyone by the feds, to move funds within existing projects. Does everybody remember that? U.S. Treasury has given the ability to move funds within existing projects. Those are projects that were fully obligated by December 31st, 2024. However, since all of this SFRF funding was appropriated by the General Assembly never gave anybody the ability to do that. Now, I say that because I know that DEQ and DIT have worked independently on flexibility within their infrastructure projects, and we're very, very much aware of that, and we work with them on that. However, to our knowledge, no one else had. So the General Assembly has written us a section on state fiscal recovery fund flexibility. That's section 5.9 of the existing budget bill. I'm not going to read all of this to you. Again, it's going to be in the slides, so you'll be able to see that. But so 5.9A at a high level gives NCPRO the ability to reallocate the funds in existing SFRF projects that are not going to be spent by the period of performance. And the period of performance is when? 12/31/2026. Any questions on this right now? This does come with limitations and requirements, which we are also going to go over just a little bit. 5.9B. Okay, next slide, please, Janae. Thank you very much. So in 5.9B, this section says that we can only reallocate those funds when all of these criteria have been met. The appropriated funds have not been expended by December 31st, 2025. There is a reasonable expectations that the funds will not be expended. Okay. And the reallocations made to support one or more SFRF related activities authorized and receiving appropriations under this act or one of the acts that was listed also in section A. So what this means is that we have the ability to move funds within existing projects only after all these conditions are met. And there are more conditions and there are more requirements that we're also going to get to. I see Shadi, did you raise your hand? Yes, sir.
I did. Thank you so much, Tommy. When you say projects in this case, are we talking about, with DQ, we've got DQ 147, 148, 149, those projects, as opposed to sub-recipient projects?
That is correct. We are calling projects those individual line items that the General Assembly appropriated back in 2021, and NCPRO gave a project number to. So you're exactly right. DEQ 147, DEQ 148. Those are what we are considering projects.
Thank you, Tom. And then, so I'm still getting my head around the first condition, which is the appropriate funds not expended by December 31, 2025. I think that works. I'm just need to figure out what that means.
Sure.
We might have to follow up later if we have.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I bring this up now because, we have 18 months before December 31st, 2026. So I think we're going to be working through this as a state very closely with all of our state agency partners and all of our recipients.
Thank
All
you.
right. Any more
sorry.
questions on this particular slide?
There was a question put on the chat by Steve Bass. It
Okay.
says, that's for subrecipients only, that doesn't apply to beneficiaries, right? That was his question.
I'm sorry, say that question again. I could not quite.
I'm
my
not sure if
speaker.
it's referencing.
I'll go to the chat and read.
Okay.
That is correct, Steve. Beneficiaries, as you know, we wrote the check to beneficiaries because they were, one, not a contractor, and we didn't grant with them to perform any kind of act for us. So, correct. Once we write a check to a beneficiary, we believe that is fully expended, and we don't track them anymore. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. Thanks. I just wanted to confirm that we're planning on trying to get our beneficiaries to spend all that money before that deadline as well. But just wanted to clarify in case there was one little thing that came up before them. But obviously, we'll talk about that more later. But that sounds good. Thanks.
Yep.
A question. Last month, NC Pro office sent the questionnaire about where we think we are with the expenditure, whether we're going to be able to expend it or not. So as of right now, NC Pro office does have the information who can't spend those funds, but you're saying you can't do anything about it, reallocating it to others who could until after the budget bill passes and or after December 31st?
That is correct, and we'll we do have that information, and we started gathering information early because this is going to be a not an easy process by the other sections that you'll see in this budget bill. We do want to know who cannot spend, and we also want to know who may need more, because if we run into a partner that cannot expend all of their funds, hopefully we can match it up with a partner that needs more funding to complete their project. Yes, Mark, I see your hand up.
I was just raising our hand that we could use more.
Okay, all right. We will certainly be talking to you guys then. All right, any more questions on this slide? All right, next slide, please, Janae. All right. This slide has all the rest of the sections that are in it. C was kind of interesting to me because to the extent that that OSBM NC Pro is aware of any unappropriated SFRF funds, I know they're covering all their bases, but all of the SFRF funds have been appropriated of the original $5.5 billion that we received. There is interest that these funds earn, and the General Assembly did, I think a couple of years ago, appropriate a lot of that interest. In fact, they over appropriated because they knew they were going to get more, and we have to keep them informed of the interest that the reserve fund is earning, so that they can reappropriate that. But they just stuck that in there, I think, to cover all their bases, and we're already doing that. 5.9, in section D, this is our reporting requirements for this exercise. So before we can take any action at all, 30 days prior to that, we've got to report this to the General Assembly, the plan that we have to move these funds. Then we have to report exactly the track of these funds. And then we have to report all of the expenditures on the reallocated funds. So this is not going to be something that we can just do and it goes unnoticed. We are, again, beginning the conversations with all of our agencies and our recipients so that we know exactly where everybody is, what everybody is going to be able to do before the period of performance ends. And then we have to report any kind of plan that we come up with 30 days before we execute it to the General Assembly. And then we got to report that it was executed. And then we got to report on the expenditures of that executed plan. So lots of reporting requirements for us, which again is one of the reasons why we're starting on this so early. 5.9E says that we don't get it all reallocated. Whatever's left over, we will try to allocate to the state treasurer's office for the state health plan for expenditures that happen between the period of performance March 3rd, 2021 and December 31st, 2024. That in itself will hold some complications because as you guys know, SFRF was divided up into two kind of major categories: revenue replacement, non-revenue replacement. So if there is a revenue replacement project that needs funds reallocated, we have to find a revenue replacement project to match that up with. If it's a non-revenue replacement project, of course, we would like to find a non-revenue replacement project to match that up with. If we start crossing, we have a very small margin of comfort for renaming those funds. So we're just going to have to take this very, very carefully. Any questions on that? And the last one is, of course, if the deadline for SFRF funds is extended to June 30, 2027 or later, all this is out the window. It'll be null and void. Now, we are constantly in discussions with U.S. Treasury. Other states are. Your leadership is. We have talked about the necessity for one reason or another on extending these funds, especially the infrastructure projects. Currently, we don't believe that the atmosphere of the federal government is going to allow an extension, but again, we've got our finger on that pulse, and we will certainly keep you guys apprised of any other guidance that comes out. Yes, sir, Shadi.
Tommy, thank you. Just a suggestion. I mean, a 6 months extension, if it does happen, is fine. It's great. It's still, some of the provisions in this bill would actually still be helpful. The ability to transfer funds between projects still really would be great to have, even with a 6 months or 12-month extension. So just pointing that out.
We agree with you totally, and it would be our intention that if this deadline or if this period of performance is extended, that we would continue to work with the General Assembly to have other language in there. My guess is the dates would change. We couldn't move funds if it was extended to June 30, 2027. We may not be able to move funds until June 30, 2026. Okay. So my guess is they would just kick that timeline down the road.
Hopefully we see that. I'm hoping to see that change in language, instead of saying it shall be void and have no effect. Yeah. But yeah, that sounds great. Thank you.
Sure. So that is the language that is in the proposed budget. Again, you should already, like you guys have already gotten a survey. Your grant managers are going to be talking to you constantly now about where you are. We have reports coming in. Our data team has made some good looking reports on where we are with cash, where we are with expenditures, what we've even started to project, who's going to have problems with. So we are going to start talking with you more. We're also building out a process for the ability to do this. It's not going to be easy, but we think that it's worthwhile so as to minimize the repayment of funds to U.S. Treasury. Stay tuned for more information later. If there's no other questions, we'll move forward. Okay. Thank you, Janae. You can forward that. And I believe the next person up is Eric.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining. So you're probably familiar that we are in the heat of monitoring with Deloitte, taking a look at low risk, moderate risk, and high risk subrecipients and state agencies in our SFRF program. One of the other pieces that Deloitte is helping us with is a technical assistance training. And Janae, you can advance the slide. And so the training started in April, and we started that one with project closeout, and we started at the end because that's the goal that we're looking to run to. That's where we should all have our sights set of what do we need for project closeout for SFRF, so that, you know, by the time Treasury comes through and starts looking at our programs, that we're all buttoned up. We have all of our pass-through entity requirements all in hand, that our agency processes and procedures are all top-notch, that we're you know, we just have everything buttoned up and ready to go and packaged for future audits. Our first session, we're usually running these things on the first Thursday of the month, and we're running them all the way to the end of the year. We do have a break in July. Didn't anticipate a huge crowd coming in for the 4th of July week. So we bumped that financial management class, the next class, to August. But all of these sessions, they do get recorded. We do have our slides up as PDFs. The actual recording is set on our website. That's going to as a YouTube channel, and you can subscribe to those so you get notifications. But our website, it's going to be the ncpro.nc.gov website for all of our technical assistance history and all those saved files and sessions. And all you're going to do is run to the top of that website, look for guidance, scroll down to presentations, and you'll see them right there. It's pretty easy. The quality of the recordings has been great so far. So we're 3 through, but our next one is going to be on financial management, and we hope that you share the invite, that everyone on this call will receive an email invite, calendar invite. We also send the week of the training. We send everybody the PowerPoint slides in advance so that you do have a few days to take a look at those and, you know, drum up some interest or some questions or share them with peers. But the idea here is to get more the merrier to attend. If you attended one session, you're automatically getting invited to the next one. If you have attended any of these meetings, you should receive an automatic invite to those future technical assistance trainings. And I think to date we're running about 150 or so strong attending those sessions across all of our SFRF subrecipients. So we like that participation, and so far it's been generally very positive feedback on the sessions that are being provided. And it looks like we're going to run through these sessions this year. So if you have new staff, we'll probably restart the same types of sessions next year as well. As long as the SFRF program's going, it looks like we're going to be assisting with technical assistance, trying to get all of our partners in this journey up to snuff for Treasury guidelines and just basic grant management know-how. So that's all I have. Thank you, Tommy.
Yep. Thank you. Next slide, Janae. I think now Young Jin is going to take over.
Okay, thank you, Jenny. Go to next slide. Program office hours. We also call these office hours as NC Pro reporting and technical assistance hours. It's every Tuesday at 3 p.m. It's in Microsoft Teams meeting. I'll going to share this link into the chat. Since this office hours start in October 2023, we helped 49 people and keep online receive assistance. We'll continue these office hours in next fiscal year. So every Tuesday 3 p.m. There will be NC Pro staff on duty to help you. So you can come between the 3 to 4 p.m. anytime. Come online if you have any kind of questions. KPI, expense report, payment request, project closeout, especially the project closeout. We expect there are probably more questions regarding the project closeout next year. The user registration Even the success story or lesson learned, we welcome you come online to take advantage of these office hours. Thank you.
Thank you, Young Jin. I see there was some chat in the some rhetoric in the chat about the schedule. Yeah, I think 11/27 is Thanksgiving. I just checked my calendar and it is. I won't be in the office that day.
You mean you're not going to attend? You're not going to attend our technical assistance? That was changed. I apologize. I uploaded a bad calendar. Please excuse me on that one. But it is the first week of December for that last training.
Yep. Yes, I won't wake up from my nap to attend that one. Okay. Any questions on anything that we have covered today? Mikey, you're wanting to show your kitten off? Okay.
I mean, if people want me to, I won't say no, but
Who would say no to that?
That's right. Should we take a poll?
How old is the kitten? Oh, he's so
it's
cute.
3 months.
3 months. Adorable. Thank you, Mikey. What a cutie. I understand he likes making biscuits and purring, and those are his favorite things.
Gonna sleep like this. Oh, maybe not.
Thank you, Mikey.
Well, if there are no questions, NC Pro staff will stay online for anything that anyone wants to ask individually for a few minutes. So if not, thank you for attending, and we will probably see you next month. Yes, Chris.
Hi, yes, can you hear me?
A little bit.
All right, hold on. All right, and I took my
We
earphones
can't
off.
hear you.
Can you hear me now?
A little bit.
Very
I
far
think
away.
if you ask your question, maybe we can get somebody to repeat it.
Okay, my question is, because I'm not an accountant or anything, and I'm just trying to control what I have. When you say liquidated, does that mean all invoices have to be in and paid, and we should be zero balanced on December 31st?
That is correct. The question was if anybody out there in the audience did not hear it, he wants to know, do we mean liquidated as no outstanding invoices or anything like that by December 31st? That is correct. The invoice should be in, it should be paid through either NCFS or whatever accounting system that any of you use out there, that the money should be out the door by December 31st, 2026.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Hey everyone, I got one other question related to that. At one point, there was some discussion of there being some payroll costs that would be okay during those next 3 months as part of the closeout process. Am I hearing that that's no longer allowed?
No, that is, and we specifically did not cover closeout period or closeout cost today. That would be a whole nother 20 or 30-minute discussion, I'm sure. But
Which is why I didn't bring it up then. Yeah.
Yeah. There is a closeout period that U.S. Treasury is allowing us, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, till April 30th, 2027. And if those closeout costs qualify, then yes, those can still be expended at that point. But that is not program costs, of course, it's closeout related costs. And we'll be sending along guidance that we have on what those closeout costs are.
Okay, thanks. I just wanted to confirm that. And like you said, I didn't want to bring that up and then people go, wait, that's not December 31st. So cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right. Any more questions out there? I see there's 17 people in the meeting, and probably most of those are NC Pro folks. If not, then I'll give you guys back 28 minutes of your day. Thank you again for attending, and we'll see you next month.